Nigeria's former military head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, clocks 90 today. He ruled the country between 1966 to 1975, navigating Nigeria through a difficult civil war as the country tried to find its direction. President Bola Tinubu, former President Muhammadu Buhari, Goodluck Jonathan, Olusegun Obasanjo, among other eminent Nigerians, have extolled the virtues of General Gowon on his 90th birthday. We at Arise News join other citizens in saluting General Gowon, using the next half hour of this program to review the lasting legacies of a man credited for Nigeria's unity while he served and has continued to ensure that the country remains one indivisible entity. Well, joining us now in the studio to help take a look at the legacies of General Yakubu Gowon is a former executive secretary of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund, Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro. He is also the secretary of the planning committee that's put together the Gowon at 90 events. Thank you so much for joining us, Prof. Yeah. Well, let's talk about I wanted to say professor. He's also a doctor, a PhD holder.
That's right, and
General Gowon. In this instance, he still remains the youngest person who ever governed Nigeria, having come into power at the age of 27 and was very ill prepared
31,
for power.
31.
31 actually, yeah. And it was a situation whereby many were actually taken by surprise as to what happened. But just give us about the brief of this Nigerian that we're talking about, who's 90 today. A lot of Nigerians have actually said that so many things happened under his rule, and the younger generation do not really know so much about what General Gowon achieved for Nigeria.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor and privilege for you to invite me to speak on a man that in my personal opinion and that of many others, is a living legend. Legends are made of personalities that transcend generations, and definitely the virtues of General Gowon are those things that transcend a single generation. And talking about things like what? Integrity, humility, incorruptibility, responsible stewardship, and all those key things in life, and especially in respect of leaders. And so there are many angles from which one could look at this man. I'm just returning from the Thanksgiving service that is just about rounding up at the National Worship Center, Economical Center precisely. And you could get the kind of great commendations coming to this man at 90 today. Indeed, the very first, he's a man of many firsts. The youngest, and all that, 9 years. He's the only one that has ruled this country unbroken for exactly, mathematically, 9 years.
Actually.
As it were.
Yeah.
And you got the renditions from yesterday at the distinguished lecture delivered in respect of the 90th anniversary of General Gowon's birth by the African Development President, Dr. Ekemumi Adesina. And that gave such a remarkable rendition of General Gowon, and relating it with what he did and had intended, and what subsequent governments have done, and what this current government is put in place to move this country forward, and like he put it, to make Nigeria go global. And it was at each point you saw the qualities of Gowon coming into play. In respect of reflecting over why is it that it's so special we should celebrate him, besides the fact that very few persons hit the age of 90 and are still walking on their feet. This is very exceptional. He's so privileged. Sometimes you are surprised to find out that General Gowon, for most of the time, as recent as a few years ago, and many times on some occasions, you see him reading without glass.
Yeah, I mean,
oh my God,
still walking.
Unbelievable. Walking, not just walking, believe me, attending many public functions at 90. It's remarkable. And it's just manifestation of God's grace in his life. And so, one could start to put up a chronological reflection about who this man represents. Like we said, 1966, we had the first military putsch of January. And there was what was being referred to as the counter-coup of July, 6 months after.
Yeah.
And July 29th. And we know the story, of course, his emergence. The man was in Legacies when those that decided, they approached him for him to take over government, met him in his calmness of his house and told him, from all the facts before us, and in the sad circumstance of the last 6 months, it does appear Providence is visiting you. And you are being requested. He was then Chief of Armed Staff. You are being requested to take over the mantle of leadership as head of state. And the rest is now history. 9 good years after that. But remember, it started, this whole development was in the midst of the turbulence of the January coup that had all sorts of tendencies, very sad as it were.
Yeah, which almost led to the division of the country.
Thank you very much. I mean, as
January
it were,
15,
those yes, exactly. The typical divisive factors.
Yeah, now of course one of the things, sorry to just cut in there, that I read about it was that we had General Ogundikpe, who was a much more higher officer, and so when General Gowon was actually asked to come take over the government, he was like, I mean, where are my seniors and all of that? You could see the respect and all of that, but of course he eventually had to take this mantle of leadership. Talk to us about how, in his own words to some of you people, he has been able to explain how he was able to manage the government within that 1967 and of course 1970, when this war was there, because people keep saying, I mean, these were two young people. Here was Gowon and here was Ojukwu, all young,
who were the same rank,
the same rank
as lieutenant colonels one day.
How was he able to manage that? Because it started with him saying that it was a police action that the government was going to
initially
take. Yes.
And by the time he realized it was deeper than that, or that it required deeper reflection in respect of the reality. Don't forget that in January 66, there was massive killings. Right, killings by military officers, as it were. And the killing was elimination of both military officers and politicians. And it remains a fact that it was one-sided. I mean, we must say this. I mean, we have to be factual. The facts are there with all the details of the casualties of the unfortunate January 15th putsch. And that was what triggered the tension, in fact, lasting up to 6 months. And then suddenly there was the coup that brought General Gowon to take over. And no nation wishes that. And that's the beauty about Nigeria. We've had, after that, there were many more military coups took place, you remember. And it continued like that until 1979, when Nigeria returned to democratic governance. And even that, of course, you know, there was, after the Gowon coup, 76 February, there was the coup that eliminated Murtala, who took over from Gowon. And so the stories are there, and the developments that followed, of course, until 79, when Obasanjo, then head of state, handed over to Shagari, the civilian government, as it were, democratic government, which was there for about 4 years, 79 to 83.
Before the December 31 sacking of that
Thank you very much, by another military.
Yes.
And of course, that continued from Buhari after 1 year, 8 months or thereabout. Babangida was there for 8 years. And then there was Shonekan. And then Abacha for 5 years. Sadly, as it were, he died in and sadly in office. And then Abdul Salam Abubakar for 11 months. And since then, there has been unbroken democratic governance. and making some people say, look, this Nigeria is an impossible entity. There are moments when you think it's all over, that can we shut the door?
Yeah, I mean, you will know that better, having seen the bad part of it, actually. Sometimes people wake up and they don't think Nigeria will survive the next day, but it just keeps happening. Now, talk to us about the specific legacies of General Gowon, because there are some things that he actually initiated that people are not giving him his due credit for. For example, the institution of the Federal Capital Territory. I mean, the plan started under him, but when the Murtala was the one who did the announcement.
Oh, yes, of course.
Of the declaration of a new capital.
The roadmap was there.
Yes,
Murtala implemented it.
Yes, then there was the Ajaokuta still,
correct,
which started under him. But of course, the Murtala Obasanjo started, and then the Shagari government took over, and then they brought in this and some other key projects. But Nigeria.
What about the NYSC?
Yeah, the NYSC is there, and all
what
of that.
What about the number of federal roads, including those in Lagos?
Yes.
I mean,
and the bridges, especially.
That is precisely the case, exactly. I mean, these are, and then when I say go to education, some of the universities and colleges of education, polytechnics, etc., etc. And we can go on, and you look at monuments that are there, the sustenance of the rail system. Still, some of us still remember at some point when rail was just such a comfort, using it intercity travel and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, it all went down, and, but massively down. This is being revived with what is happening in Lagos State and in between some of the state capitals and other towns in this country. We just hope that the mass transport system improves. So it is those areas. But let me say this. The other aspect about General Gowon that we give him credit and for which he's being respected is his deep-seated love for Nigeria as an entity and his insistence that there is no justification. After all, the strongest of nations are the most diverse. Heterogeneity is a strength. He has insisted. We must not be a weakness. That yes, we talk about what? Multiple ethnic entities in this country, religion, diverse, mainly two major religions, but there are others that are clearly in the minority anyway, as it were.
Come from the minority himself.
Yes, definitely.
All right. So, Prof, as we try to round off this conversation, let's talk about some other accusations against Gowon. Irrespective of all the good things people are saying about him, people are also challenging him on some things that happened under him.
All right.
The one of them is the cement armada, that we have so much money that we imported cement and just left it to rot at the ports. Another one is that some people from the Southeast keep accusing him that he took some policies that during the war that actually led to the starvation of more people, himself and Awolowo. And then the other one, the third one, is that people said that he made an announcement that we have so much money alongside Clement Isong, his central bank governor, that we didn't know what to do, to the extent that we're paying the salaries of countries like Gambia, the civil service of Gambia, that maybe we could have done much more. How do you address some of these issues?
Let me start with the cement thing. It was much less of a major problem because I still recall we were in the secondary school at that time, and there is no doubt that that was because that was the time Nigeria was earning so much massively from the oil sector. And there were investments. Let me admit that there are some aspects of the specific details of the cement armada that I am not able to recall as I talk to you. But it will always be so. You tell me a single government anywhere in the world that you would notify and say, hey, you are celebrating so much, but here we have so areas, you know, we have the American election taking place in barely 2.5, 3 weeks from now. And sometimes when you listen to the contestants, you think that nothing good is happening. Especially with the clearly divided ideological. So that is my response. Then the issue of the war. Let me say this, that people must not dwell on one side of the war. I was a kid, and let me tell you, one of the saddest things I remember was when you went to peri-urban centers and some urban centers, and you saw corpses littering on the way. That was response to the program, as it were. And it was obvious that it was clearly, it took ethnic dimension, obviously. And don't forget that the war was the rest of Nigeria against what is largely the southeast of today. And most of the south and where they effectively removed themselves.
Yeah, out of the old Eastern region.
Of course.
And the controversy has been there. They are saying that they actually thank Gowon for saving them and all of that. While the Southeast are saying that, look, Gowon could have performed better and all of that. But the controversies will always remain.
But they're talking more specifically. When you talked about, some persons have insisted that Awolowo connived with Gowon against the Igbos, as it were. To use hunger, as starvation and hunger as a weapon of mass destruction rather than armaments. Like I say, well, sometimes all sorts of things happen during war, and I think there are many aspects that I don't think these few minutes of discussion will lead us to understand, but that once it is war, and a segment of a country takes arms against the other, or vice versa. You better imagine what. So, as much as we could, I know that the details have been documented by many authors, including generals, politicians, scholars. So, if you don't mind, I would think that sometimes going into some of those aspects without establishing veracity of the facts, it might just turn out to be a scholarly engagement without dwelling on the facts that inform those actions or inactions, as it were. Yes, that is that. Then finally, the third one. Yes.
The issue of Nigeria had more money, we're paying the salaries of other countries.
Then I remember Udoji.
Yes, the Great Udoji Award.
The Great Udoji, because...
which many Nigerian workers still remember General Gowon for increasing their salaries multiply.
Yes, in fact, that was post-Civil War. When now things stabilized and oil money was now being... And let me say this. Instead of... people must give this man credit, because, frankly, some of the infrastructure that emerged, because at that time, look at public schools. They were good. They were standard. I'm talking about the University of Ibadan, the first generation universities, UNN, ABU, UNILAG, and IFE. Those are the first five. And the other one in between was UNIBEN that came in 1970. And you saw the standards. Believe me, they were comparable with the best anywhere in the world.
Students were fed, and then...
Thank you very much. In fact, we took 3-course meals. 3-course meals. And you even go to your room with some additional things, sometimes milk, a pack of milk or whatever, fruits, and so on and so forth. Like I said, we took 3-course meals as students in the
those days are gone.
And scholarships were there. But largely, one I must say this, that somebody would ask the question, why is it that suddenly those things are no more there? The truth is, over time, there was no plan for providing resources to match the numbers, both of the institutions as well as population of students. Once that was the case, it's chaos. And
all right.
Yes.
All right. So I won't allow you to go without talking about Gowon's attitude when he learned that he had been overthrown. I mean, he was at an OAU conference. Those are the pictures. And he was informed that he had been overthrown. And some of the words he uttered, they actually are golden words. And he said, "Let Nigeria be taken care of for me." That's what he told.
Take care of Nigeria.
Take care of Nigeria for me. I mean, how profound those words are way up until today.
In fact, I'm glad you virtually mentioned one of the things this man, generally Yakubu Gowon, is being respected and will continue history will be kind
I
to
mean,
this
those
man.
are the pictures there.
Yes.
That's
Right.
Oh,
here you are. Here you are.
Actually.
Precisely.
Yeah, in Kampala.
Yes, that this man was not thinking of himself. As a young man, he ruled the country for exactly 9 years. I call it arithmetically perfect. 9 years, 29 July, 9 years after. And that was it. And he said, no, that is it. Those that took over power have their reasons. So be it. Let them just take care of Nigeria. Make sure that there's no recrimination and whatever form of response or reaction, whether within the military or otherwise. I mean, to me, these are the aspects about General Gowon. And you see him, what he said in those years is exactly what he's still saying in the year 2024. I listened to him when he visited the president during the ECOWAS crisis leading to Burkina Faso, Mali, and Chad. And not Chad.
Niger.
Niger, that's correct. Breaking out from ECOWAS.
Yes.
And at some moment, you knew that we needed persons that have the weight and respectability of across the boundaries to intervene. And I still remember when General Gowon visited Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in the villa. And it was obvious, and the stories came out, that essentially they discussed, and Gowon offered. Nigeria had called on him, and he offered, and he went to the villa to intervene and make his contribution to one amicable resolution. And it is very obvious that after that, few weeks after that, you saw the positive result of that intervention. Yes,
but just quickly in 30 seconds, when Gowon was overthrown, he went to the university and he was seen queuing up in canteens and all of that due to the easy life he usually lives. But the Nigerian government felt embarrassed at that point. Has he spoken to you people on why he just decided to, take that simple life and not act like former military heads of state?
Yes, but that is the angle. If he acted like others, then that is not the Gowon, that is vintage. Is personified by humility. That is the aspect of General Gowon. He just remains himself.
All right.
He doesn't believe that power should consume you and make you a different person. You are a product of society. It's a grace and privilege for you to rise above them and be a leader. If you are not there or you are outside, provide advice to those that are in office. General Gowon will walk into the office of any president of Nigeria, as he has always done, because he believes in the collective interest of Nigeria rather than himself.
All right, such a fine way to actually leave it, and we'll say right here that General Gowon continues to be an inspiration to lots of Nigerian leaders, and then of course young leaders too. Myself, I've had a chat with him, and you can see it in the pictures. He actually gave me an information on so many decisions he took while he was in power, and he continues to be an inspiration to lots of young Nigerians. And we just wish him a happy birthday right here at Arise News, and on behalf of the management of Arise News, we wish the great General Jack Gowon happy 90th birthday. We just hope that he continues to sustain it. And of course, most Nigerians will remember that mantra that he was known with: go on with one Nigeria. Well, we must thank you so much. Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro is a former executive secretary of the Tertiary Trust Fund, TED Fund, and of course he's the secretary of the planning committee putting together this Gowon at 90 celebration. Thank you so much for joining us.